What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This week I'm back for a new video and this time I have Alberto Tolo. So for this one it's a kind of mix between hypnotic techno, raw techno, groovy techno, and especially the past year he has been doing more tooly tracks that are very loopy. Anyway, I'm gonna show you how I did this preview in the video. Be sure to check the description if you want to get the project file, and thank you so much for your support guys. Now let's get into it. So we're gonna first dive into the kick bass, and this is how it sounds. So as you can see, it's a kind of a 2-bar loop. So there's something different happening between the first kick and the second kick, which is different. There's not so much layer on this one. It's pretty simple. It has to be very well processed to be effective. So I'm gonna, of course, withdraw the group processing and show you the different layers. I'll start with the kick punch, which is a 909 that has been distorted. So I took this from the sample pack. As you can see, it's just a 909 that has been distorted. If you want to do something similar, I just took here the 909 kick from Ableton and I put on the saturator. You got something pretty similar. You can also then add an amp and boost a bit the highs, and you're gonna get something similar. So once I have this, I took this sample, I just lowered a bit the bass. That was a bit too much. I then just saturated a bit more. Then I have my rumble. This one is from the FX Subverb, which is a sample from Ableton. I just pitched it down to get the correct pitch, and I just took the sub part and the bass part from it. So this is how it sounds first. Then I have 2 or 3 other layers. Basically, I'm creating the groove with those. So it's a mix of a sub sine here, and I have 2 toms. Those toms are really like low pass because otherwise it's going to be too clear without it. And I want something dark, something in the bass. I don't want like the perk part of it. So I create 2 different patterns, and this one is a bit emphasized by the subsine, and altogether it's going to create that groovy feeling. And this one is very typical from all of these latest tracks. So as you can see, nothing really special here, just some sidechain, making sure it doesn't clash, but really just kick, rumble, and a few toms. And altogether, I'm gonna, of course, compress it, distort it a little more to make it more heavy. So I'm gonna show you the different plugins. Basically, I'm first distorting it with the Oxford Inflator. Then I'm compressing it with the OTT. Then I'm managing the depth, making sure my bass is centered, and then making the transient a bit more wide here. And finally I'm clipping. Basically it's not really clipping here, it's saturation, because I got a lot of drives. And then just a final EQ to make it a bit more in your face, and just a final clipper. And this is my kick bass. I then have just this auto filter that I'm gonna use here for my transition. So that's it for the kick bass. Next up I have my drums. So for the drums, it's pretty simple for its tracks. Basically it's just some straightforward open hats, closed hats, hi-hats, and sometimes rides. So I got this first one, which is a closed hat. Basically I'm creating this pattern. And how I do this is just playing that closed hat like for every kick and every offbeat, and then I'm creating the groove with that kickstart. I just let through a tiny part of the first sample and also with the reverb, and it's going to create that movement. I'm also having slight ghost notes with the groove preset from Ableton. Just an EQ and a sus to control the harshness of the sound. I then have an open hat, pretty straightforward here. So it's straight from a 909 machine, and here I'm having the same processing in terms of reverb, like a small ambience reverb, very short decay, small groovy delay, EQ, controlling a bit the attack and the sustain here so that it's more sharp. Then I have this plate reverb. This one is more for the ambience, like a mild reverb that stays as an ambience the whole time, and then final sidechain and sus2. I then have two hi-hats which are layered together. So I started first with this loop, this hi-hat loop. So I just took a 1 bar sequence and I'm then sidechaining to create also that movement. And basically what I did here to make this layer is I took this sample, I then convert drums to new MIDI track, and it created this drum rack, this 606 drum rack, and it's as placed with the right velocity and movement, those drums. And then I'm just adding the same kind of processing to these. And here I'm using the Endless Smile a bit differently than its original purpose. Usually it's more used for the transitions, but here I'm using as a plate reverb. Basically it creates that mild reverb that stays in between the different drums. I think it's very airy and I like it, so I kept it like this. And yeah, that's pretty much it for these drums. I just have also an Endless Smile here, but really for the transition to create this kind of reverby sweep. Final drum is the clap here, very particular clap because it's a polyrhythm. So just to remind you, a polyrhythm is like a loop that is different from the signature of the track, which is a 4 to the floor. So every MIDI pattern are going to repeat themselves to a different timing than just 4/4. So it's not just this. It's going to repeat itself, but maybe like every 8 bar or 12 bar or whatever. And it's going to create some randomness to your track, and it's going to entertain a bit more your ears in the meantime. And this clap here is just placed randomly. It's a random MIDI pattern that I generated. Then I randomize a bit the velocity, humanize also a bit the pattern, and then using the arpeggiator. And then using the same kind of reverb that I use for the other drums, just make it a bit more bright with the amp, and then just final EQ. It was actually too bright, but this is going to excite and make new harmonics, but then I'm just going to make it tighter and a bit more dark because it was fitting a bit more to the track. So that's it for the clap. Next up, I have a ride, and this one is also something random. Here I just draw down a big MIDI pattern. I just throw in a few random notes here, and then I'm just playing this 909 ride from Ableton. And this one is not really a drum, but more like an effect or an ambience element that goes through a very long reverb. And I use Endless Smiles also. So that's it for my drums. And next I have the leads or harmonics on my choral responses. So choral response are used a lot in techno, but here especially with this kind of tool tracks. So here I have a first call and answer that I use in my intro, and it's basically two effects. So here, just using a white noise sweep, and as a response, just two different Foleys or perks sounds that I'm going to play together. Here, just sidechain, mild reverb, nothing really special. And next up, I have another color response, and this one is more with some harmonics. So I have this one, which is a dissonant lead. So you find those dissonant leads, especially in hypnotic techno and also in the former stuff that Alberto Tolo was doing like 2 or 3 years ago. It was more like longer sequences that were loopy. This time it's more call and answer stuff with snappy synths. So what I did here is I create first an FM synth in Serum. I took a random sound source here in Serum as an oscillator A. And then I create some FM synthesis here with the second oscillator. Both are random to 0 so that it repeats itself. And then I just automate this snappy sound with the envelope to the wavetable position and the cutoff of the filter here. So without the effect, it should sound like this, so really an FM synth. So I create something in harmonic with the chords like this, +5, +6 usually works. And then I make it even more weird with the shifters. So it's a good way to create other sounds. You can play around with these and really just make an infinite number of stuff. Then I make it more lively with delay and reverb here. And then I just make it loopy. And this is going to be the call. And as the response, I have here another element which is more percussive, which is a conga. So just a conga from Ableton, controlling a bit the frequencies and sidechaining, but it's really like basic stuff here. I think it works pretty well. Like this. And I have a final kind of lead sound, which is a bass effect. And it's going to show you another technique to make those weird sound. Basically, it's using the grain delay. So at first, I have this bass loop, like a random bass sample that I took from my library. And then I pitch it down. So already when you pitch it down, you get something a bit more weird. And then you take the grain delay and you can create an infinite number of stuff that is weird. Then same thing, echo, delay, reverb, it's gonna make it more lively and just adding a bit more character with the amp, sidechaining, EQ for mixing, and that's it. So that's it for the lead sounds. And finally, I have my effects. So as you can see, I have stuff that is very loopy, the kick bass, the drums, and the call and response. And I have some stuff that needs to be more random to keep me entertained. So I have the polyrhythms, I have the random rides, and then I have the effects random that are going to be in the background and create some random stuff. So as usual, to make this, I can use 3 techniques, basically the grain delay, the shifter, or pitching down some samples. And here, that's what I did. So I took random effects samples that I pitched down. So at first I had this sound. So of course I have lots of reverb here with the endless mile. And then I just pitch it down a lot and automatically get something dark and different. You can also rewarp it and pitch it up and you get even crazier stuff. And you can just use different things like this, pitch it up, down, perk stuff, FX stuff, voices, for instance here, that's what I use. Just have different EQs, Foley's, and then here something a bit more harmonic for the drop. So yeah, that's a tonal that I can go even darker like this. And yeah, you just throw them randomly like this to kind of use the blanks in the track and make it more interesting. And I think that's pretty much it for this track, guys. So I hope you like it. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I see you in the next one. Ciao.